I'm surprised I actually didn't make a video about this already, because this is something that I've been seeing a lot on Twitter. It's been bringing itself up a lot in group chats that I've been a part of, and overall, it's something that has always been kind of in the back of our minds for the past few weeks. That is the subject of Edmonton Oilers' 4th overall pick in 2016, young forward Jesse Puljujarvi. Now, Puljujarvi is a guy who was ranked 3rd by many scouts. Basically, every scouting list of the 2016 draft had Jesse Puljujarvi going 3rd. Of course, that didn't happen because the Columbus Blue Jackets, who picked 3rd, picked Pierre-Luc Dubois instead. Jesse Puljujarvi dropped down to 4th overall, and the Edmonton Oilers took him with that pick. And now we're in the 2018-19 season, and Jesse Puljujarvi just got sent back down to the Bakersfield Condors in the AHL. Which begs the question amongst Vancouver Canucks fans, should we trade for Jesse Puljujarvi? One may be quick to bring up the idea of Jesse Puljujarvi's trade value and just what exactly the status quo with him is as a player throughout his development and in coincidence with his draft rankings. Because a lot of people would propose the immediate proposal of, hey, let's get Olli Juolevi out there. Olli Juolevi for Jesse Puljujarvi. 1 for 1, 5th overall for 4th overall, let's do it. I've seen that a few times, and honestly, I don't necessarily think it's the best idea. First off, because the Vancouver Canucks need defensive prospects more than they need forward prospects at this point, because our defensive core isn't necessarily in the best spot that it could be. Now, Jesse Puljujarvi is still a player who is young, and just like Olli Juolevi, he's got a lot of room to grow. He's 20 years old at the time of this recording, which means that he's got so much time to develop into a good player. It's just that when you take a look at the draft and you take a look at the guys who were taken before him, Matthews, Laine, Dubois, they're doing really well in the NHL. You look at the guys taken after Puljujarvi, Clayton Keller, Sergachev, Tkachuk, these guys are doing extraordinarily well too. So Puljujarvi's kind of in that gray area where people are starting to be like, wow, what's really the deal with him, eh? More AHL time? How can he not get it together? And the connotation is there with Olli Juolevi too, but that doesn't mean that they're equal in value here. First off, Olli Juolevi hasn't played in the NHL yet. Puljujarvi has. Puljujarvi's already played 100 games in the NHL, and he's got 29 NHL points. But in this most recent season, 2018-19, he only played 11 games with the Oilers, got himself a goal, was a -5, and just about a week ago was sent over back down to the AHL. In 2 games with the Bakersfield Condors, he's got himself a goal and an assist for 2 points. Which means that Puljujarvi is in a position where the Edmonton Oilers, and specifically Todd McLellan, but not really Todd McLellan anymore, he got fired, they weren't really putting all that stock into him out there on the ice, which could frustrate the Puljujarvi party and in turn could stir some controversy amongst his role with the team, which is why he's been the subject of trade rumors thus far. As for the Vancouver Canucks though, I think the Vancouver Canucks would be in a good position to target him if they were able to sacrifice the right assets to get him. And by that, I mean, listen to the offers, listen to what Chiarelli wants for Puljujarvi, because let's be honest here, Puljujarvi is playing for the Oilers. Oilers are managed by Chiarelli. Chiarelli's the guy that gave away Hall for Larson. He's the guy who's not necessarily in a position to say, I make the best trades ever. He's no Steve Yzerman out here, isn't he? Which means that the Vancouver Canucks, if they would try to engage in trade talks surrounding Puljujarvi, they might be able to get away with something that is, let's just say, in the favor of Vancouver. And that's not to say that Jim Benning hasn't made bad trades too, it's just, if the price is right, I think the Canucks would be smart to go after Puljujarvi because, hey, he is a left winger. We don't really have too many of those aside from Baertschi, who's going to be here long term. You could say Gadjevich, but that's not a guarantee. But overall, the Vancouver Canucks would be wise to add Puljujarvi, but if we're giving up on Olli Juolevi, if we're giving up another good defensive prospect, I kind of don't want it. Now, there have been some other high-drafted players in the past who have gone for things like third-round picks, or equally not as impressive prospects. We've seen that in the past before, but I don't know if the Vancouver Canucks have the drive in order to fetch something like that. I don't know if Benning's negotiating skills are that good enough to say, hey, Chiarelli, we can give you a second-round pick for Puljujarvi. Take it, buddy. I don't think it goes like that. Sure, if that goes through, then fine, but I don't even think Chiarelli's that incompetent enough to accept that. But overall, though, Puljujarvi coming over to the Canucks would be pretty good. We got ourselves another young Finn to play alongside of Juolevi, a guy who's experienced winning in the past at these U18, U20 tournaments with Juolevi, and a guy who's probably in the same spot as Juolevi is in right now, trying to transition into that pro game, but this is kind of a failed story here so far because he's played some games, hasn't really had that success yet, but is still marinating in the AHL due to the decisions made by the Edmonton Oilers. But overall, I don't know if the price is necessarily in the right favor of the Canucks. I mean, he's still 20 years old, so he does have a good stock, but if we're giving up a defensive prospect, if we're giving up some high-quality draft picks, I don't necessarily think it's something that we should pursue. Because at the end of the day, if the Vancouver Canucks wanted a left winger so badly, they could just go into the draft and grab one themselves. But overall, though, the Oilers aren't necessarily all too happy with Puljujarvi's play. Puljujarvi is probably not happy with the way he's being treated, and there's a reason why people have been speculating a Puljujarvi trade for a few weeks now. Whether the Vancouver Canucks are on this trade or not, that's up for debate. But if we were to go after him, my only plea would be for the return to not be too detrimental to our team going into the future. Hope you guys enjoyed this particular Plaza Gaming, and bye.